Hello guys, welcome back to Forza Horizon 4. British Racing Green, that's the new story that came with today's update in this game, next to the track creator. Some other stuff that is happening here and there. New VIP cars are about 8, we'll maybe show them later, but first do this and try to get, we'll see what we get, I don't know. It's one of those stories with 10 chapters again, so we're gonna go over the chapters. I've done the first one already to unlock it, so that we can actually see next chapter each time to see what we have to do. The first one is a time thing, which you have to do in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but I will redo it for the stream, and then we do the other chapters and try to get the 30 stars. Let's start with the first one.
Great to see you. We're shooting a documentary about car culture in the UK, and I need a second driver. You've made a name for yourself, and it would be great to have you aboard. It's simple. You drive, I tell the story. Let's do it.
Aston Martin DB5, seeing it is a British racing story, more than likely it's gonna be all British cars, I guess. We need to hit 113 kilometers an hour.
From Aston Martin to McLaren and Bentley, Great Britain is home to over a century of automotive excellence. I'm Rebecca Dawson. Welcome to British Racing Green, a documentary celebrating that history. The Aston Martin DB5 Vantage was the quintessential Grand Tourer of the 1960s, combining British engineering and Italian design.
Doesn't matter that much. This is not the thing that we have to do yet, I think, unless they combine the time.
The Vantage featured side-draft carburetors and a refined camshaft profile, capable of a blistering top speed of 162 miles an hour in 1964. The clean lines of Superleggera's bodywork, reclining seats and wool carpets created a car that was luxurious as well as fast.
And no brakes. And 13 kilometers an hour, I'm assuming that's like 70 miles an hour or so. That we had to do here.
This car would form the basis for the DB range, with later cars improving on the design in many ways, but none would ever achieve the sheer iconic perfection of the Vantage. For all of its beauty and engineering perfection, only 65 of these beautiful machines would ever be built. If you own one, you own a piece of British history. The silver DB5 would be immortalized in half a century of cinema. The classic Aston Martin. But in 2016, a new DB was unveiled, heralding the dawn of Aston Martin's second century. The DB11 is the first production turbocharged Aston Martin, but is it a worthy successor to that legacy?
I guess we'll find out.
The short answer is yes. It's bold, responsive, and agile, with perhaps the best GT chassis in the world. and listen to it.
This time we have to stay above 100 miles an hour.
Able to hit 60 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds, the DB11's 5.2-litre twin-turbo V12 boasts a top speed of over 200 miles an hour. The DB11 is not the fastest car in the world, but then it's not trying to be. It's sophisticated, effortless luxury. It's an Aston Martin. The DB11's front strakes channel air to create a virtual spoiler, providing downforce without compromising the car's clean lines. Brilliant. Most importantly, I think, the DB11 proves that Aston Martin is ready for another century of beautiful cars. And I can't wait. Beautiful as they are, Aston Martins are only one of many cars made in the United Kingdom. Let's see what else is out there.
And here we have the stupid music again. Why does nothing in this game save like it should? Freaking believable. We got 3 stars, but first things first. Settings, audio, put streamer mode on. It never saves that thing, which means that's already a rights claim for that little music. If I export it to YouTube at least. Let's have a look. Chapter number 2. For 3 stars we need 125,000 points, so that's more than likely gonna be some drifting, some jumping, stuff like that. In a Range Rover or something, Land Rover at least. We'll see.
This is shaping up nicely. Time for a change of pace, though. At least at first. The next segment is about Land Rover, and we'll be starting out with the Type 3.
We're gonna get the history of Land Rover. But we need
Land
points,
Rover,
so
the British sports utility vehicle.
this is not
But
a thing
before
yet.
that, they were actual utility vehicles. Solid, tough trucks, unstoppable over almost any terrain. The Land Rover Type 3 marks the point where that shift begins, and we'll be looking at what that meant.
We're in a Land Rover, so we can obviously go off-road here or there.
Over
We need some skill points
500,000
for this
Series
one,
3s
so
were built, and over 70% of those are still on the road today. They were extensively exported and built under license abroad. Belgium, South Africa, even Australia and New Zealand. With a robust chassis and signature Land Rover engineering, the Type 3 also marked the first time that buyers could choose interior options, like seat box protectors and cubby boxes.
With 5 minutes to get to the destination,
That trend
this thing is
continued,
slow as hell.
and by
But
1982,
I guess
Land
we can
Rover
make
were
that.
offering the county spec Type 3. Leisure drivers could choose from such luxuries as all-cloth seats, soundproofing and tinted glass. The trend was increasingly clear, and the future of the Land Rover was starting to take shape. If you squinted, you could already see the shape of the first sports utility vehicle, the Range Rover.
Looks like we're going through the quarry. And there we probably have to get points. In some other Land Rover, something more modern, I guess.
Along with the Range Rover, others would follow. Discovery, Defender, and the Freelander. Each a more sophisticated and enjoyable utility vehicle. But none of them were a replacement for the Type 3. They were a different kind of car. The Type 3 was arguably the first sports utility vehicle, an evolution of the design that would lead ultimately to this. The Bowler Nemesis, an off-road racing vehicle that turned into a production SUV, the Nemesis EXR. It sports a turbocharged 5-litre Land Rover Jaguar engine, crammed into a carbon fibre chassis with integral roll cage. It even has the grille, headlights and rear lights from a Range Rover. This is an all-terrain supercar. That's the only fair description for this. But that's what you get when you build an SUV with Land Rover DNA.
Not a big of an issue if you keep the multiplier going and do not hit indestructible things, because then you will lose the multiplier. But we scored 40,000 points times 5, it's 200,000. We needed 125,000 for the 3 stars. So that is definitely not a big of an issue. And that also means that you promote to the next chapter, level 3. So far, so good. We will see what else comes on our path. See, I do not have the stars yet. That also means I haven't seen the thing yet. We go solo and we select the next chapter so that we can see. The Lotus Spirit, this is all going to be about Lotus. Seems to be some sort of time attack, 1 minute and 37 seconds. Probably we have to drive somewhere again and take another car. I would think first an old Lotus and then a new one. If not, then we need to do it immediately with 137. We'll see what we get here.
Hope you're enjoying yourself. I know I am. It's great to be able to just focus on telling the story while someone else handles the driving for once. Let's get to the next one. This time, it's Lotus. Lotus Engineering Limited began as many stories in British engineering do. In an old barn. The first Lotus cars were offered as kits. You built them yourself. From 1962, they began to actually build the cars themselves. The Elan Sprint showed exactly what they intended to do. Built around a steel backbone with a fiberglass chassis, the Sprint weighed in at a meager 687 kilos parked on the curb. On the road, this translated into brilliant agility and fantastic performance. Designer Colin Chapman famously said, "Adding power makes you faster on the straights. Subtracting weight makes you faster everywhere." He knew what he was talking about. Widely hailed as one of the greatest sports cars of the 1960s, the Elan would be closely studied and emulated, inspiring such masterpieces as the Mazda MX-5. The Elan has all the energy, style, and enthusiasm you would expect. Bold, quick, and fun. So much so that they put it in the name.
We did in 133 if this was the thing, but probably not. We'll probably get a modern.
The Elan Sprint was a financial as well as an engineering success for Lotus, validating their approach to design and resulting in a whole family of light, agile roadsters. Which brings us to this, the Lotus Exige. It's heavier than the Elan, admittedly, but it's faster. Much, much faster.
137 is our target.
Touch the pedal, the Exige responds with instant, relentless acceleration, as you'd expect. With a 0 to 60 time of 3.8 seconds and a top speed of 170 before upgrades and tuning, the Exige is uncompromising. And there's no power steering, so you can really feel the road. A genuinely thrilling drive, and one that isn't afraid to demand you take it seriously. With rumoured launches of 2 new cars in 2020, Lotus looks set to push the benchmark of the experienced sports car well into the next century.
Was going towards 137. That's what we needed for the 3 stars. And we qualify for chapter number 4. This is about Ford and something about Group B and 50 seconds. RS 1800, that's an Escort, and then the Ford RS 200. Whatever it is we need to do, it needs to be done in 50 seconds to get the 3 stars.
Done much rallying? That's a joke. We've all seen what you've been up to. We're doing the next bit on location. You'll see why when you get there.
We actually have to use our own car by the looks of it. Park in the destination zone. Okay, so we have a parking job to do. One of the other stories, we had to park that mini 22 seconds on a container or something like that. Always killing your driving lines. Let's see what it's all about.
Ford, that most American of cars. But the Ford Escort, oh, that's British. And more than that, the Escort would become for many synonymous with Group B. In the 70s, Ford had embraced that destiny so firmly that they'd begun their own championships to find new drivers. Drivers for cars like the RS 1800. This was a car designed explicitly for rallying, with a powerful fuel-injected 1790cc Cosworth BDE engine. Homologation rules required that all cars entered into the group be production, so Ford built 200 of them. The RS 1800 raced to victory after victory across the rallying world, on almost every continent and across every terrain type imaginable. This car was basically unbeatable. The RS 1800 brought home 17 World Rally Championship victories for Ford. So, of course, Ford set out to design a better one. The RS 200 Evolution was their answer. A purpose-built rally car designed to do one thing: win Group B. With a 1.8 turbocharged Ford Cosworth BDT engine and all-wheel drive, the RS 200 had perhaps the best suspension platform of any car of its era. The chassis was fiberglass from Reliant, and a massive Ford parts bin was raided to give the car that iconic look. But while the car had potential, turbo lag at low RPM and a poor power-to-weight ratio meant that it never placed better than third. The end of Group B in the mid-80s meant the end of the RS200 as a rallying car. Fortunately, Ford built over 200 as part of the homologation requirements for Group B, so you can still find them, if you're lucky.
43 seconds or something we did in this RS200, and we needed 50 seconds for the 3 stars. So, so far, we don't make any big mistakes. Yeah, it's not that hard. And we're sort of halfway. No. Level 5 and chapter number 5 unlocked. And we get a wheel spin. And of course, we win a British car, which we already have, probably. Let's quickly have a look on that. Jaguar, please. Yeah, of course, already had that one, so this one can be removed from the garage. Also no point in putting those things on the auction, they do not sell. Getting double cars, but I'm still missing. I have 380 or something. I'm still missing several cars, including 3 which you can only win from wheel spins. But yeah, pretty hard to get them at the moment. They're just not on the auction or anything. 69 kilometers an hour we need to get. That is a very low speed, but I think I know what it is. It probably will be with the peel or something, or Reliant, or something in that order.
You know, I really like this car.
The peel.
Not that I'd want to drive it for too long. Squeeze yourself in there and let's see just how fast you can make it go. Which won't be too fast. But hey, I could be surprised.
We need to hit 69 kilometers an hour in this thing.
The Peel P50 has the dubious honour of being the smallest production car in the world. A one-door microcar coupe, featuring a 42cc air-cooled engine, capable of a heinous 38 miles an hour. And a handle, so you can pick it up and carry it with you when you get to work. And keep in mind that this is the production version. The prototype had the single wheel at the front. Why would you think that was a good idea? In 2010, though, production restarted at Sutton in Ashfield. So, if you'd like to own the modern incarnation of this, I suppose you can.
Are you kidding me? I hit 69 kilometers an hour.
The Peel P50 has the dubious honour of being the smallest production car in the world. A one-door microcar coupe, featuring a 42cc air-cooled engine, capable of a heinous 38 miles an hour. And a handle, so you can pick it up and carry it with you when you get to work. And keep in mind that this is the production version. The prototype had the single wheel at the front. Why would you think that was a good idea? In 2010, though, production restarted at Sutton in Ashfield. So, if you'd like to own the modern incarnation of this, I suppose you can.
Okay. I hit 69 kilometers an hour, but it's not giving it to me. So.
The Peel P50 has the dubious honour of being the smallest production car in the world.
Let's try something else.
A one-door microcar coupe, featuring a 42cc air-cooled engine, capable of a heinous 38 miles an hour. And a handle, so you can pick it up and carry it with you when you get to work. It was billed as being able to fit a single driver with a bag of shopping. And it does, if neither are particularly large. And keep in mind that this is the production version. The prototype had the single wheel at the front. Why would you think that was a good idea? In 2010, though, production restarted at Sutton and Ashfield. So, if you'd like to own the modern incarnation of this, I suppose you can.
That worked. So we have to go to the right there to get some more speed downhill. We still hit 69 kilometers an hour, but probably was like 69.5, and that actually gave us the 3 stars. And 69.1 or 0.2 probably will not. That means we're halfway. 15 stars earned, 15 stars to go. Hopefully with something faster than appeal, but we'll see. Chapter number 5, the finest sports car, number 6. It seems to be about McLaren. We need to hit 330 kilometers an hour. That's more than likely going to be a speed trap or something, or a speed zone maybe, but probably a speed trap. Unless it's the P1 or so, then it can be a speed zone as well. But yeah, we're gonna get the history probably again.
Hey there! How about a car with some actual legroom and some actual speed? This section's about what happened when McLaren decided to make a road car. You're going to enjoy this.
We'll see.
The track and the road have very different requirements. For McLaren, that was a challenge they were more than willing to embrace. In 1988, they set out to create the finest sports car the world has ever seen. By 1993, they had achieved their goal, and the honestly fantastic F1 was the result. 106 would be built across all variants, and it remains one of the very best road cars ever made. The F1 has no turbocharger. That would have compromised the driving experience, increased complexity, and resulted in turbo lag. The F1 is a naturally aspirated supercar, one of the fastest in the world, in fact. Racing heritage is so deeply ingrained in this machine that they took it to Le Mans in 1995 and faced off against purpose-built racing machines, and won.
She was still telling the story, but we were already there because we went a bit shortcut.
So, with something like the F1 to live up to, where do you go next? Well, you throw the book away again and write an even better one. The result is the McLaren P1, a hybrid electric sports car that stands head and shoulders above the F1. The P1 GTR will hit 60 miles an hour in 2.4 seconds. That's 0.7 seconds faster than the F1. That's an eternity for a supercar.
One of those cars you cannot touch the brakes, which is many of the cars in this game. Play with a keyboard.
The car's blistering performance is delivered by a twin-turbo V8, supplemented by a McLaren ECU electric motor and instant power assist system. And they do mean instant.
We hit 330 kilometers an hour on some sort of speed run. That's the idea. part in this war ending, but we'll see.
Remember those problems with turbo lag? McLaren solved that with the hybrid drive. While the turbos build pressure, the electric motor drives the wheels. No turbo lag, just torque. And because it's a hybrid, it has an all-electric range. Running on batteries alone, that's 6.2 miles. A bit more if you're going downhill.
Very nice woman, but you were a bit behind your story mode. We qualified for chapter number 7. This is going pretty easy compared to some of the other story modes out there. There are a few which are harder to get 3 stars than in this story so far, but we will see how it goes. We have still 7, 8, 9 and 10 to do, so that's still 4 chapters to go. 2 minutes and 10 seconds seems to be some targeting again. Time attack in the second part probably.
I quite like sleeper cars. Did Alex ever tell you the story of what we got up to in Colorado? There was this sleeper car competition, you see. Let's just say no one was ready for the sunbeam. Lotus never quite let go of the upgrade game. So in addition to building their own supercars, they upgraded cars from other marques too. The Lotus Carlton was one such aftermarket upgrade. Lotus took a respectable 4-door Vauxhall saloon and turned it into a supercar. From the outside, there are a few signs that this is something special. Wider wheel arches, that sort of thing. But under the bonnet, that's where the magic starts.
A Vauxhall Carlton, or
Engine
an
capacity
Opel
was
Omega,
increased to
as it's called in
3.6
mainland
litres,
Europe,
and twin Garrett T25
but it has a Lotus engine,
turbochargers were added.
more or less.
The engine block was reinforced, and new crankshafts were forged by Opel and machined in Germany. The tyres were widened, and the tyre compound from the Lotus Esprit was used. To handle camber change issues, they put in the self-leveling suspension from the Opel Senator. The only upgrade they didn't put in was an electronic speed limiter. All of this resulted in the Lotus Carlton, designated Type 104 by Lotus. A 177 miles per hour supercar, masquerading as a 4-door saloon. Only 950 of these custom gems were built, and they've become something of a modern classic. The Lotus Carlton was an example of how to turn a saloon into a supercar, but that's not the only thing Lotus got up to. In 1979, Chrysler approached Lotus to create a strict rally version of their Sunbeam 3-door hatchback. Lotus, as you might imagine, rather enjoyed the challenge. They took the rear-wheel drive hatchback and changed everything that matters. They stiffened the suspension, improved the anti-roll bars, and widened the transmission tunnel. Performance was increased by fitting a 2.2-litre version of the Lotus 911 slant 4-cylinder engine, resulting in an impressive 250 brake horsepower, up from a meager 105 on the original. The Lotus Sunbeam was revealed to the public in 1979 in Geneva to widespread praise in the motoring media. importantly, the Lotus Sunbeam saw racing success too. In 1980, Henri Toivonen won the 29th Lombard RAC Rally in his Sunbeam. Makes you wonder if Lotus should do more conversion. That's a silly question, actually. Lotus should do more conversions. In fact, I'll call them right now.
Okay, what did we need? 2 minutes 10 or so? Thought it was 120. Or do we have to shortcut the corners?
They took the rear-wheel drive hatchback and changed everything that matters. They stiffened the suspension, improved the anti-roll bars, and widened the transmission tunnel. Performance was increased by fitting a 2.2-litre version of the Lotus 911 slant 4-cylinder engine, resulting in an impressive 250 brake horsepower, up from a meager 105 on the original. The Lotus Sunbeam was revealed to the public in 1979 in Geneva to widespread praise in the motoring media. Makes you wonder if Lotus should do more conversion. It's a silly question, actually. Lotus should do more conversions. In fact, I'll call them right now.
In other words, shortcut and you easily get 3 stars, by the looks of it. Makes us qualify for chapter number 8. Almost level 47. That is level 547, I think, in total or something. For those who are new to the game, you first get to level 200 and then it resets to 0 and then you get like 1 star prestige. And then you do another 300 levels and then it resets again and you put you on 2 star prestige. That's where I sort of am now, 2 star prestige, level 46. So basically that's level 546. Maximum level is 10 stars prestige and 2999. People know that already because with the Goliath glitch, some people have using it a lot apparently, and some people are on the maximum level already. That being said, let's have a look on these last chapters here. 3 to go. The Art of Performance, 1 minute 35 seconds, seems to be some sort of time attack again, with Jaguar apparently.
I honestly think these might be some of the most beautiful cars in the world. And the story of how it came about is, well, really British. Get in the car and let's get this segment.
3 wipers, also seems to be pretty British.
Jaguar is a bit of a favourite of mine. The company is almost 100 years old and was originally founded to build sidecars for motorcycles. But this is the car that really set the bar, I think. The 1961 E-Type. When he saw it, Enzo Ferrari called it the most beautiful car in the world. High praise indeed. He wasn't alone in his admiration. Accolades have followed this car ever since. It's been in movies, comics, games, and TV shows. Unlike some later cars in the marque, it wasn't just looks though. The E-Type was light and fast. It would do 153 miles an hour and stopped on innovative four-wheel brakes that were better than anything Ferrari or Porsche or even Mercedes-Benz had. It was solid too, with a design based on the D-Type that won the 24 Hours of Le Mans 3 years in a row. Anyone who owns an E-Type will tell you that the key to their reliability is to drive them regularly, as if you'd need the excuse. About 2,500 were built, and they're a common sight at auto shows, and surprisingly reasonably priced. All in all, an almost perfect Jaguar. The E-Type was the successor to the Le Mans winning D-Type, but what would that look like if Jaguar designed it today? In 2013, Jaguar answered that question with the F-Type Project 7, a spiritual successor to the E-Type, and designed from the ground up to be the purest, most enjoyable Jaguar yet. The car's heritage is proudly displayed in the gorgeous D-Type curves and the distinctive aero hunch behind the driving position. But like the E-Type, it's not just a pretty face. Powered by a 5-litre V8 supercharged engine, with a fully aluminium body, it's blisteringly fast, with a 0 to 60 speed of 3.8 seconds and a top speed of 186 miles an hour. A car as beautiful as this must surely have been a carefully authored design. Actually, it started as a sketch by designer César Pierri, thrown together one Friday in his free time. Jaguar's design director, Ian Callum, saw the sketch in a thumbnail on César's computer during a meeting and asked him what it was. The rest is history. "250 Project 7s were built, as both a successor to the E-Type and as a celebration of Jaguar's victories at Le Mans.
1 minute and 35 seconds, and you just go straight on the roundabout.
I think I speak
You
for
do a
all of us when I
132.
say, thank heavens for César's Friday afternoon doodle.
Which results in 3 stars. This story mode thing seems to be a lot of history babble, a lot of talking from the lady over there, but other than that, not that hard to do here. We had some issues trying to stay on track with the Lotus Sunbeam there, which was not possible, so you had to actually just cut the hairpins. But we win a super wheel spin. Let's see if we can get something decent from that. A Lambo Diablo SV and 35,000 credits. Not that bad. We will see how bad it is. 35,000, not that much from a super wheel spin if you have 400,000 and 500,000 on that thing there. Lamborghini. But we did not hit the Diablo yet, so that's at least something. Two more chapters to go. Something about Mini Cooper and 1 minute and 20 seconds. for the Mini X-Raid and the Mini Cooper S. So it's also going to be like some sort of double challenge. Drive to the destination with one car and do the thing with the other.
We're almost done, but we've saved the good stuff for last. A spot of rallying in the most British car of them all. Get in, strap in, and let's nail this one. There is one car built in Great Britain that is, quite fairly, considered one of the most influential cars of the century. It's a surprisingly spacious little city car with a side-mounted engine. It's an icon of popular culture. It's been built on every continent where there's a car factory. It's the Mini. The Mini Cooper S was built to be a performance machine with deeper engines, twin carburetors and front disc brakes. This scrappy little machine would go on to achieve more than 30 racing victories in the 1960s and 1970s. A Mini Cooper S flying number 37 placed first at the 1964 Monte Carlo Rally. Driven by Paddy Hopkirk and Henry Liddon, this was the last time an all-British crew would win the event. But not the last time a Mini would. At Monte Carlo in 1966, Minis took the first, second and third positions. They were all disqualified because they had dimming headlamps, not because they were winning everything in sight. In 1999, the Car of the Century Award was presented to the most influential car of the 20th century. The Mini came second. It was beaten by the Model T Ford. That's fair, I suppose. 5.3 million Minis would be sold, making it the most popular British car. And then, in 2000, BMW resumed production of the Mini, breathing new life into the iconic marque. If the Mini of the 1960s had its sights set on the roads of Monte Carlo, the X-Raid Countryman has its eyes on something a little tougher. The deserts and rough terrain of the Dakar, for starters. A wit once said that the only thing Mini in this monster was the pedal. That's rather missing the point, I think. The X-Raid Countryman is much, much bigger than the Mini Cooper. It has to be. A stage of the Dakar demands literally tons of gear. You could call it a tank. It does rather sound like one.
That might be bad news for our time. I think we need a minute.
When Mini's X-Raid division set out to build this thing, they had one goal in mind: winning the Dakar. And they did, every year, from 2012 to 2015. It's designed to be driven for 2 weeks over deserts and badlands, 5 kilometers above sea level. And it still handles like a hot hatch on a nice bit of dry.
Okay, yeah. Pretty get the point.
Airstrip.
You can't hit anything. That we know. And then you can easily make it to 1 minute.
The deserts and rough terrain of the Dakar, for starters. A wit once said that the only thing Mini in this monster was the pedal. That's rather missing the point, I think. The X-Raid Countryman is much, much bigger than the Mini Cooper. It has to be. A stage of the Dakar demands literally tons of gear. You could call it a tank. It does rather sound like one.
Yeah, well, it drives like one. Seriously. Why are these things always set up?
The deserts and rough terrain of the Dakar, for starters. A wit once said that the only thing mini in this monster was the pedal. That's rather missing the point, I think.
I'll tap the handbrake to
The
make it
X-Rayed
steer,
Countryman
because
is
other
much,
than that, it does not
much
steer.
bigger than the Mini Cooper. It has to be. A stage of the Dakar demands literally tons of gear. You could call it a tank. It does rather sound like one.
There's all kind of stuff that I do not want to do.
When Mini's X-Rayed division set out to build this thing, they had one goal in mind: winning the Dakar. And they did, every year, from 2012 to 2015. It's designed to be driven for 2 weeks over deserts and badlands, 5 kilometers above sea level. And it still handles like a hot hatch on a nice bit of dry airstrip.
Yeah. In my opinion, it handles more like a boat than anything else. Unsteerable with keyboard, that's what it is.
The deserts and rough terrain of the Dakar, for starters. A wit once said that the only thing mini in this monster was the pedal. That's rather missing the point, I think. The X-Rayed Countryman is much, much bigger than the Mini Cooper. It has to be. A stage of the Dakar demands literally tons of gear. You could call it a tank. It does rather sound like one. When Mini's X-Rayed division set out to build this thing, they had one goal in mind: winning the Dakar. And they did, every year, from 2012 to 2015. It's designed to be driven for 2 weeks over deserts and badlands, 5 kilometers above sea level. And it still handles like a hot hatch on a nice bit of dry airstrip. Owners come and go. The heritage of a car like the Mini is more than who owns the keys to the shop. I fully expect to see Mini's wings flying for another century.
That was the worst of all to do so far, because the damn thing does not steer. Stopping the handbrake in the last run made it steer a bit, but which leaves us with the last chapter to get the 30 stars. So all in all, yeah, because I made some mistakes and such, I had to redo 1 or 2 of the missions, but 59 seconds we need to beat for whatever it is we need to do for that last chapter. That will give us 30 stars.
This is quite the story.
And by the looks of it, an
Bentley
old
at Le Mans
Bentley as
in
a
the
reward.
1930s. Gentleman races and heroic driving. A personal hero of mine. Take good care of the cars, though. Both of them belong to me. Bentley, a company founded in 1919 in Cricklewood, North London, and purchased by Rolls-Royce in the 30s. A company synonymous with both racing and luxury. Perhaps the best example I know of those two extremes of British engineering. For almost a century, every Bentley was hand-built to exacting standards. So at the beginning of the 21st century, when Bentley revealed their first mass-produced car, there were a great many questions. The car was the Continental GT, an elegant grand tourer that combined a racetrack pedigree with exquisite style and all the power you could need. The move to mass production has done nothing to blunt the Bentley experience. The 2017 Continental Supersport is responsive, fast, and beautifully designed.
Try to stay on the road because I just noticed that this is like a damage mission thing. Have a damage bar there on the left.
It brings together all-wheel drive, carbon fiber bonnet sides and side skirts to create the most powerful performance-focused car the company has ever built. But never forget, Bentley's pedigree is racing, and the Bentley Continental embraces that. In 2007, a largely standard Continental Speed GT broke Bugatti's record for the flying kilometre on the frozen Baltic Sea. And then in 2011, they broke their own record. 205 miles an hour, both ways, on ice. Even when building these gorgeous Grand Tourers, Bentley is driven to excellence.
Good brakes.
Today, Bentley means modern, peerless luxury and elegance. But that's far from the full story.
We're on the beach, so I'm expecting the Bentley or something. Oh no.
A century ago, Bentley meant something else entirely. It meant Le Mans. In 1930, eccentric race team owner Dorothy Paget financed a rather special Bentley at the Le Mans. It was a 4.5-litre supercharged masterpiece, driven by Sir Henry Bentley Boy Birkin. It posted the fastest time on the day, but it failed to finish. But what a race it was! Sir Henry's courageous driving forced Rudolf Caracciolla's 7-litre Mercedes out of the race at the cost of his own victory. But in doing so, he ensured that the Bentley Sixes would take the victory. Sir Henry knew he didn't have anything to prove. In 1929, the adventurer Mrs. Mary Victor Bruce had already driven the resolutely modern 4.5-litre Bentley at Montlhéry, setting distance, speed, and endurance records. The Bentley's performance so annoyed Ettore Bugatti that he called it the world's fastest lorry. And when the blower finally went on auction in 2012, it fetched more than enough to get yourself a Veyron and a racing truck.
Here we go again. We need 59 seconds in this thing, and it doesn't move. Very interesting.
But what a race it was! Sir Henry's courageous driving forced Rudolf Caracciolla's 7-litre Mercedes out of the race at the cost of his own victory. But in doing so, he ensured that the Bentley Sixes would take the victory.
Trying to stay away a bit more from the shoreline, hoping it would go a little bit faster here.
Sir Henry knew he didn't have anything to prove. In 1929, the adventurer Mrs. Mary Victor Bruce had already driven the resolutely modern 4.5-litre Bentley at Montlhéry, setting distance, speed, and endurance records. The Bentley's performance so annoyed Ettore Bugatti that he called it the world's fastest lorry. And when the blower finally went on auction in 2012, it fetched more than enough to get yourself a Veyron and a racing truck.
No idea. No idea how to get this. You're in deep sand and
But what a race it was!
we need
Sir
more than
Henry's
7
courageous
seconds, I think,
driving
left on
forced
the clock.
Rudolf Caracciolla's 7-litre Mercedes out of the race at the cost of his own victory. But in doing so, he ensured that the Bentley Sixes would take the victory. Sir Henry knew he didn't have anything to prove. In 1929, the adventurer Mrs. Mary Victor Bruce had already driven the resolutely modern 4.5-litre Bentley at Montlhéry, setting distance, speed and endurance records. The Bentley's performance so annoyed Ettore Bugatti that he called it the world's fastest lorry.
Or do we have to drive here close to the shoreline to get it?
Oh, and when the blower finally went on auction in 2012, it fetched more than enough to get yourself a Veyron and a racing truck.
So we had to redo this thing like 3 times to find a good line to get it in 59 seconds to complete the whole thing. 30 stars. And I think we get the Bentley 8 liters as a reward there. There we go. I don't know how long.
Like I told them, can't make a film about car culture around here without you in it, can they? I'll let you know if they need you back. Sounds like this documentary's gonna be pretty good, yeah? The bits with you and Beckham, at least. Got a call from the producer. Said you couldn't have driven better if you tried.
Okay. Not sure how long this stream lasted, but 10 out of 10 chapters, 30 out of 30 stars. Give or take some hiccups here and there, like that last one. Yeah, might be a keyboard issue already because I know with the controller you're gonna have faster starts, so it will be easier to get to 59 seconds. But other than that, the mini X-rate did not really steer very well. That's what the issue that I had with that one. But the other chapters were just like get some speed, do it in a certain time. Not that hard to get the 30 stars. Yes, we know we have a new card to collect because you just gave it to us. Thank you very much. Bloody games. Let's see. 4.5 liters supercharged. That's the thing you get with the you buy the castle on the beach. You get an extra barn find there. That thing comes out, which is a 10 million car, and now we got a 1.5 million car. Okay. That completed the story that they added with version, what is it, 1.203.504.2. That is the current version of the game. That's the number you see on the left bottom of your screen when you log on in this game at the moment. Other than that, they have added, if you go into Team Adventure and you play the ranked adventure or the unranked or whatever, you can actually, when you're in the lobby, you can quit now. It was not the case before. You actually had to quit the lobby once a race started, which was total bullshit. Well, the whole Team Adventure thing is a bullshit setup. It's exactly not what people want. They want to race each other. They want to do it like in a solo, not depending on other players. That makes all no sense. And then yeah, the free roam rush that needs to go has nothing to do with racing. It's like A to B, avoid the trees, know the map. That's all you have to do there. That has nothing to do with racing. That is also a league which is reset. I'm league 16 at the moment, so I have been playing it a little bit. You do 2 unranked events, and then you qualify for the ranked adventure, and then you have to do 10 lobbies. and in those, based on those results that you get in that 10 lobbies, they're gonna give you a rank that can be like League 20, 19, 18, something like that. And from that moment on, you're racing for points. But I haven't been racing so much because, yeah, I do not like the whole setup of this. In my opinion, the only thing they needed to do was take the format from Forza Horizon 3, but get rid of the XP crap that was happening there, and just base the results on the race results. In Forza Horizon 3 you could win like 4 lobbies, and then some donk in the background was doing some drifting and some hitting fences and such, and based on the skill points on the XP he won the lobby. Yeah, of course, that was total bullshit, and from what I hear that was also already the case in Forza Horizon 2. Now they made it on the race results, so they have changed that, but now they linked it to teams. You play with random players that you don't know. Most of them don't even play as a team. They are ramming your own team members. Get knocked out of tracks, rammed out of tracks by your own teammates. So we need some proper racing in this game, and that means checkpoint races only, not of that free roam rush crap. And best of all, to put the collisions off, because people cannot leave it be without ramming. And then you're gonna get some proper league going. Meanwhile, I worked my way up to League 16 in the few times that I played, because there were also some online issues. You do a lobby, you get kicked out of the lobby every time. You have to look for a new session, you have to look for a new lobby. That all takes... I've shown a video earlier, I think it was like 40 minutes to do 2 lobbies, which is ridiculous. It is better in unranked. There you stay in the lobby and you can do like lobby after lobby after lobby. That should be the same case in ranked. I don't know what a mess they made of this, but... And that is kind of unfortunately, because yeah, it's the only thing to do. Because also this, yeah, you saw it in the stream, it takes about an hour and you get 30 stars and that's it. It's the only thing, the new thing that they brought. Story modes or event wise, is this story thing here that we have just done. British Racing Green is it's called. Other than that, there's nothing new on that whole map. If I change the filter to new events, you can check on the map. That thing was new here, that was the only thing on the map, and other than that you will find nothing except for Forza Live, which is about to start. Nothing new about it. So the only thing which we do have is the track creator. I will do a video or a stream about that later on. It is a very decent feature, but there is already an issue that we have found. I'm gonna fast travel to there, to the Horizon Sprint Festival, and there's a reason I'm gonna do that. So if I start this thing up, you have solo, co-op, PvP, rivals, and now we have a new thing, and that goes for all of the races out there on the map. Those are always your starting points. So whatever it is that you want to create a track, you always have to do one of the events and then create a route, and then you can create your own track. But then you can go solo, and then if you go to custom events, here I created one, as you can see, and then you have the trending ones today. Those are all tracks that are created. Those are not event tracks that we know from the story or something. No, those are just tracks made by other people. This is trending today, the best of the month, which is basically also some preset things that they have put in there, I think, and already some others. And you can see, like, this one is the Corrado Forzathon Festival Sprint. That's for the weekly challenge for the Forzathon, and people are doing that. You can see it, 1926 are playing it. This one 400. So the most popular comes in here again, and that makes me already think like it's gonna be like the designs and the tunes. You need downloads on that. You do not make it in the top 20, so your challenge will not show up. If you create a track, it will not show up. So the track creator itself is a great thing, the sharing not so much. Because if I look in friends and followed, I know for a fact that my teammate has created an event here and I cannot find it. Because as you can see here, it needs to be friend and followed, no events found, it says. Although I know that my teammate has made one. so that's already a bit of a problem. And it's more or less comes down to the same problem as with the thing. If I go to the Creative Hub, if I click on followers, players, my teammate is over there, so if I can select him and I check his blueprint, let's have a look. Here we go. A sprint race, custom fast lane, it's called. So it shows up here, as you can see. If I go to the Creative Hub of my teammate Vallister, then I can actually find the blueprint of that on the track where I just checked it, and it's not showing up in that list. In other words, you need to be a follower of a certain person, so you have to go to his Creative Hub, you have to follow him before you can actually see his blueprint event. While it should be showing up on this event here. If I go in here and I check the custom events and I check friends and followed, that track that was in his Creative Hub should be here, which is not. So in other words, you're gonna have to follow. You're gonna need more followers if your friends want to see your events. They have to come to your Creative Hub to actually find it. By the looks of it, we have been testing it a bit this night, and that seems to be the case. But other than that, the track creator itself is great in that way that, yeah, you have 1001 possibilities, figure of speech, because you can create a track, you can make it certain class, you can make it for certain manufacturers only, or you can make it specific for a car. So it's like, yeah, there are 450 or 475 cars in this game. You can make tracks for all of these cars, and you can make several tracks for all of these cars if you want. So there are a bunch of new tracks gonna be created, and then you can race those either within a class or within a certain brand or manufacturer, or you just do it with one single car and then sort of make a time attack from it, which more or less can make you create your own rivals in a way. So those are all the possibilities with the track creator. What else do we have? See, we are on the festival here. Oh my god, what is this? If you have 3 days time, you might be able to make like a track for this car. This thing is not moving at all. But I have to drive to the festival to get in the auto show. Brakes, optional. So if we go to the auto show and then you see the car pass, then we can see what are the upcoming cars for, in case you do have the car pass. That is, it is either a pack that you can buy separately, I think, but it's also included in the VIP from the Ultimate Edition. Those are the sort of first week, second week, third and fourth week. These are the cars that we were having. That means that on next Friday we're gonna get the 2008 Ford Mustang GT Debertani design or something like that, and then a 2012 Lamborghini Gallardo Spider Performante, and this is the Deberti design apparently. Next week on November the 2nd, it's gonna be 2 Hoonigans, the Ford Escort 1991 Group A Hoonigan, and the 1977 Ford F-150 pickup, which is sort of made into a touring car more or less. On the 9th of November, it's gonna be the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio 2018 SUV from Alfa Romeo, and the 2018 Can-Am Maverick RS Turbo. And then on the 16th of November, it's gonna be 2 Vauxhall, an Insignia and a VX220 Spider or turbo thing. No, it was not called Spider, it was called Speedster for mainland in Europe, because it's not Vauxhall. over here it's Opel. So we have the Opel Insignia and the Opel Speedster, I think it was called. But apparently for Vauxhall it's called VX220 Turbo. Those are the upcoming VIP cars, the 8 cars that will come, 2 each week. Normally that's on Friday. Anything else? Not as far as I know yet. Of course, on Thursday we will have a season change again, and we are going back to summer, which means we more or less did 1 year. We have seen summer, we have seen autumn, we have seen winter, and we have seen this week it was spring. And so tomorrow on Thursday it will be summer again, and then we go into the whole loop thing again of the 4 seasons. That was it. I'm gonna cut the stream here and export the video to YouTube. The British story thing that they have added today. Not that hard to do. It was more of an historic lesson than anything else. While you were driving, that girl was constantly babbling and explaining the whole history of all those brands. But that was about it. Other than the fact that 1 or 2 cars did not steer or did not really get enough speed. It's not that hard to get the 3 stars in each of the chapters. So it is what it is. People probably gonna have some fun with the track creator and do some races on that. Hopefully the PvP will get improved over time, and other than that, yeah, we more or less need new content. I don't know what it is with 2018 games. They give you content for about a week. It's the same with the Crew 2, it is the same with this Forza game. You play a week or 2 if you're a hardcore gamer and you have completed the campaign and there is nothing else to do. So hopefully this track creator gives us some things that we can create, make me come up with some sort of competition or whatever. We will see. That will be it for this one. See you guys in the next one, and bye for now.